backfield? Do you sort of push the reset button on all those guys, given that injuries and James was here last year, or is it kind of continuing?
Well, I've got 3 veterans that know how to function and can play winning football. So it's just a matter of getting reps, getting better. We hadn't really said this guy's 1 or 2. Everybody's run with the 1s, everybody's run with the 2s. So we're just trying to get better.
In a perfect world, would you prefer to have the two freshmen redshirt this year and just rely on those 3 veterans there?
In a perfect world, I'd like to have that and a 6-pack. But yeah, perfect world, you'd like to save those guys. But, you know, we get guys ready to play. We get them all ready to play, and then it'll sort out. If we don't need them, we'll redshirt them. And if we need them and they can play winning football, well, we'll play them.
Are they showing you anything? I know it's in shorts, but are they showing you anything?
Yeah, they're talented. They're talented. I mean, it's just the volume of things they're required to know has slowed them down. But that's typical for most freshmen across the board.
But at the same time, as running back a position, I mean, it seems like, they don't redshirt running backs very often. Is that a position that maybe lends itself to getting on the field sooner?
Yeah, it does. I mean, you know, that's a position where you can say, okay, you can learn this group of plays and play, and the defense not know that it's a limited amount of plays. You can't do that with the line, obviously. But you know, if we got enough guys ready to play, we'll just play with what we got and we'll make it work.
The 5 guys who really you think can play, is that going to make your job much more difficult this summer?
No, it'll sort out. It'll sort out.
How does it sort out? What kind of things are you looking for?
And just someone ends up making more plays and falling into leadership roles, and it sorts out. And some guys see, well, I'm a little bit behind. I'm probably, you know, can't get it, or some guys just don't get it. So it just sorts out.
With James gone, has Olsen really stepped up in that leadership role a little bit?
Yeah, he's done a good job. He's vocal. He's trying hard, giving great effort. So I'm pleased with him, along with all those other guys.
How far has he come since you got here working with him?
You know, Olsen's always been a smart guy. You know, he could be a great coach one day. But it's just a matter of him just being aware of his body, aware of space, where he is in space, and how to get all those extra yards and how to, you know, get a little bit extra on his blocks when we ask him to block and things like that. So he's come a long way. You know, I don't know how to say how far he came, but he's come a long way.
And obviously George was a big part of your running game last year. I saw you guys even went on a fishing trip together. Is he going to be even bigger this year with another year under his belt in the running game, especially without James being there?
Well, you know, again, our offense is our offense, and everything we do from multiple personnel groups. So if it's a play where the F gets the ball, if George is in the game, he's the F. If we're in a different personnel group, another F gets the ball. And so at the end of the day, when we start putting our game plan together, we're going to try to put the guys that can play winning football, give us the best chance to win in position to make plays.
Pat said yesterday that Quadri has to play better than he did when he ran for 1,100 yards.
Sure.
Can he do that?
I don't know. Yeah, he was a redshirt freshman, and that was 2 years ago. So I think he can. That's the bar. You know, we're trying to raise the bar. So. You know, there's some. I mean, he rushed for 1,100 yards, but a little bit wiser, the ability to anticipate and see things before they happen. You know, receiving the tips that the defense gives you, he could have had more yards. So hopefully he knows those things now, or learning them now. And when it comes to the time to play, hopefully he'll be a better player.
The Shortez and Darren look like seasoned vets too.
They're more seasoned than what they were last year. I mean, you know, but it's still a process. They're still learning. They're still getting better, and I'm pleased with where they are.
Paul was held out in the spring. How's he bouncing back from missing that time?
Good. He's not wearing a knee brace. I mean, he made some good cuts on it today, and he's not favoring that leg. So that's the biggest thing mentally, getting over, you know, putting that foot in the ground, bracing on it, and he's done that.
Do you have an ideal kind of way carries will be balanced out? If you have 40 carries in a game, like to have one guy with 20, 25, one guy with 10. I mean, is there an ideal scenario?
The guy who's hot is going to keep getting it. That's what happens.
Now, Sean Test told us in the spring that he might have gotten complacent at a certain point last year. I mean, how does he kind of overcome that and kind of move forward?
Well, I think all those guys in the season, they all get amped up to play, and they're all excited to play. And then we got a guy like James who just keeps getting the ball. And with his talent, obviously, we're just going to keep feeding him. And those guys see, you know, every game goes by, you know, I'm getting 4 reps, 6 reps, 10 reps. And I think they do at some point go, you know what, this is James' year, so I got to wait my time, and that's part of the process.
Have you emphasized to them that this is their time?
I'm sorry?
Have you emphasized to them that this is their time now?
A little bit, Yeah, we're trying to raise the urgency and the intensity, and they're doing a good job.
Your other hat is special teams coordinator. I mean, do you expect this year that it's going to be limited opportunities for Quadri, that teams just aren't going to kick to him or kick away from him as much as possible?
We've got plans. For they got to kick it somewhere. That's the nature of the game. So they kicked it to him last year, and he made plays, and we've thought about this, and we made plans. So if they start not kicking to him, so they don't kick it to him, they got to kick it to somebody, and we've got guys that can catch it and run with it, and so it'll sort out too.
Any guys that excite you as potential, playmakers or other options?
Oh yeah, French, Maddox, Ra. Some of those freshmen do a good job. So we got enough guys.
You said you put a little bit of emphasis on those guys.
I've always been facetious.
I know.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what is a little bit of emphasis in your mind?
Every day, every meeting, every time we take a rep, and it's not their best.
You get on them. You ride them a little bit.
Well, yeah, I make them aware of it. Back when I was young and couldn't communicate real well, I was always yelling at them. Yelling doesn't do any good. They stop listening when you start yelling. So I'm just pointing it out. And I ask them, is that your best? I make them say it. I make them hear themselves say it. They know what the bar is, so that's the deal.
Have you had backfields like this in your career where it's this maybe wide open?
I've always had good backs everywhere I've been, with one exception, but one stop I made. But that's the nature of the position. You recruit good athletes and guys that can make plays, and hopefully you got a bunch of them. They'll help you somewhere. Offense, special teams. We could have some guys that are two-way players, so they'll help you somewhere. That's the nature of football. Get a bunch of good ball players and let them play.
What's the process like for breaking in a new kicker like Kessman? Is it a lot more that goes into it than someone would think, or is it just get out there and kick the ball?
No, if it's just get out there and kick the ball, you could come play for us.
I can't kick.
It's you got to handle those guys different. They're not offensive linemen. You got to make sure they're rested. You can't kick them too much. People will just go out there and kick. I mean, we count kicks. We're not going to let them kick too much. We're going to keep them fresh. And you got to talk to them differently. You got to treat them differently. They're different people. They're different breed. And so a lot of people, I've been around for a long time, just kick the ball. There's a lot more to it than just kick the ball. And then when things aren't going good, you got to find out what it is. It could be something little with your plant foot. It could be the drop. It could be the approach, the off arm. There's a ton of things that most people don't even take into account, but it's a very technical position. You got to be technically sound to be good at it.
Would you and George talk football on your fishing trip, or just fishing?
A little bit of both. We had Pickett with us too.
Oh yeah?
We had Pickett with us too. We had a good time.
Where'd you go?
We went down the river to one of my secret holes. I can't tell you. It's just somewhere between West Virginia and Lake Erie. And secret spot. We caught them good.
What'd you catch?
I caught a bunch of smallmouth. We had a lot on. We didn't get a lot in the boat. Them smallmouth are pretty sassy, but we had a good time.